No matter how hard I've tried recently, I can't seem to get myself to go out or make new friends or get a job or work out consistently. I'm avoiding actually admitting to myself that I'm starting over. I feel stuck in a freeze response. I know I'm making my life more difficult than it needs to be, but I can't seem to snap out of it. I'm jobless, living with my parents, barely leaving the house, watching way too much TV, and I'm struggling to just get out of bed. I'm so embarrassed of my life and who I am right now. And I know I shouldn't care what others think. I should just work on shifting my perspective to be more grateful for everything I have. But it's a lot easier said than done. I was raised in a church that hyper focused on the dichotomy of good and bad, as most churches do. There were so many hierarchies: the righteous and the sinful, the saved and the lost, the pure and the defiled. I was taught to overanalyze myself and others in just about every aspect, and it instilled in me this need for purity, for perfection. As a result, unsurprisingly, I became a very judgmental person. I judged others, but no one more harshly than I judged myself. I've always seen my life through a lens of shame, terrified of being misunderstood by other people, scared they won't see my intentions or understand where I'm coming from, that they might think I'm a bad person or a stupid person or a useless person. I've never felt like I was good enough. I start all these projects and have all these great ideas, but I always end up psyching myself out of following through with any of them. Instead of just simply striving for growth, I continue to find myself stuck in a cycle of inaction, just overwhelmed by my unrealistic standards. I didn't really make any real progress with overcoming all of the limiting beliefs I had about myself until I discovered Taoist philosophy. One story in particular has always resonated with me, and whenever I find myself feeling stuck in a negative spiral, I remind myself of this story. Basically, one day a farmer's horse runs away, and his neighbors all come around and say different versions of, "Wow, this is so unfortunate for you. What bad luck." And the farmer simply responds to them saying, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" Days later, the horse returns with other wild horses, and the neighbors all gather around again, this time to celebrate the farmer's good fortune. Again, the farmer says, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" Soon after, his son breaks his leg trying to tame one of the wild horses. The neighbors again say, "Oh no, it must have been bad luck after all." But the farmer calmly repeats, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" Shortly after the incident, the army comes around to draft all able bodied men for the war, but the son is spared and doesn't have to go fight in the war because of his injury. Again, neighbors try and say that this must have been a blessing in disguise and that it turns out it was actually a really good thing that his son broke his leg. And I'm sure you can guess what the farmer responds: "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" Now, I've always known life is unpredictable, and I have heard all about blessings in disguise growing up. But that story really helped me understand how much I assign the words good and bad to just about everything in my life, and how pointless it is to go around labeling people, events, or anything really as inherently good or bad. It was a simple but necessary reminder for me that life is just a series of interconnected events. It helps me be kinder to myself when things don't go perfectly according to plan, or I make a mistake or embarrass myself in some way, as I often do. Perfection is an illusion. It simply doesn't exist.
I give you a 8.5.
Wow, that's harsh. I'm very dizzy, so I cannot reply the way I want to. But okay, I will take your criticism into consideration, um, and I will come back better next time. Thank you to all my fans.
And even though I know this, I still very much struggle with it, like I am literally right now. And I want to quickly emphasize that learning something that helps you change your perspective does not heal you. No amount of knowledge is going to absolve you from feeling things that are deeply entrenched in your psyche. You have to put in the reps and stack the proof, and that takes time. It's like working out. You may know how to gain muscle or lose fat, but until you actually put in the work, nothing is really going to change. You have to face and feel those feelings of not being enough and get stuck in that, and then eventually come out of it. And over time, at least in my experience, the feelings are shorter lived, and I make sense of them a bit faster and pull myself out of that perfectionist hole a bit quicker. But healing is not linear. It's a process of ups and downs, and no motivational video or inspiring quote or TED Talk is going to change you. I remember thinking that I was healed from all of my issues because of everything I had learned in quarantine. And I really genuinely believed that. But I was single and didn't have to deal with coworkers or anything really. And as soon as I got back into a relationship and the workplace and just into the real world, I experienced all of the triggers. And I realized that I had so much more work to do. Rewiring your subconscious programming is a lot harder than consciously changing your beliefs about yourself. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the black and white yin and yang symbol, but a lot of people don't know where exactly it comes from or what it really means. Yin and yang is a Taoist philosophy and a really powerful framework for understanding balance. Growing up in a culture that celebrates the binary good versus evil, success versus failure, I was conditioned to believe that drowning out the negative with the positive was the ultimate goal. Good must triumph over evil. The hero must defeat the bad guy. We have to be more positive and less negative, or more productive and less lazy, or more useful or efficient or whatever. And it's fucking exhausting. But this concept of yin and yang offered me a different perspective, and it really saved my life in a lot of ways. Yin and yang don't represent opposition or conflict, but rather they're complementary forces in balance. They're like two sides of the same coin. There's a necessary polarity that exists, like northern and southern poles or positive and negative charges. One does not exist without the other. They can't. They're simply different and opposite aspects of the same system. Instead of striving for this unattainable ideal of perfection, like the best version of myself without any flaws, yin and yang taught me to embrace the wholeness of myself and my experience, the light and the dark, the highs and the lows, the good and the bad. Instead of battling against the dark, negative, or imperfect aspects of ourselves, Taoism encourages us to understand them and flow with them.
Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
The yin-yang view of the world is, as Alan Watts likes to call it, serenely cyclical, like the story of the farmer. It's not 1 + 2 = 3. It's 1 leads to 2, leads to 3 and 4, and so on. There is no equals anything, no good or bad end result. There just is, and then there is infinitely more. Fortune and misfortune, life and death, and everything in between continues to come and go and ebb and flow everlastingly without beginning or end. Life is not a perfect equation. Working out 4 times a week plus reading self-improvement plus daily meditation does not equal happy grace. You can't reach success or your best self one day. And I had to learn and accept that I am a part of an organic and interconnected universe where imperfection is not a flaw, but simply a fundamental aspect of existence. We don't judge clouds for not being perfectly fluffy or picturesque, or waves for not being wavy enough, or rocks for being too small or too big or too lumpy. The imperfections in nature are normalized and accepted and considered beautiful. So why don't we view ourselves as a part of nature and offer ourselves the same level of understanding? I think we forget sometimes that we're a part of nature, that you and I are a part of a much larger system, like the number 6 in a stream of numbers. It means nothing without the other numbers. By learning to trust in this interconnectedness, I've found a sense of freedom and peace and belonging that perfectionism never allowed.
Gosh, she's good.
Oh, yeah. I've learned that the unpredictability of my life and my future is not something I need to fear, but to embrace. It allows me to be more present and to learn and grow in ways that perfectionism never could. I'm learning to accept that my worth is not measured by how flawlessly I execute my plans or by how perfect my life seems to others, but rather by how authentically I live my life through all of the so-called good or bad chapters. I will fail and make mistakes, and some days will be dark days, and I'll say shit I don't mean, and sometimes I'll be immoral or not know something or be lazy or messy or weak or whatever, and all of it is okay. And it's not just okay. It's not good or bad. It's simply a necessary part of the human experience. There's so much out there that pushes us to compare ourselves and our lives to others. So I'm always having to remind myself that life is not about being my best self, but about learning to live harmoniously with my negative side, my darkness, my yin, in all of its complexities and chaos. The journey is ongoing, and I'm still learning how to be kind to myself. But every day I find myself taking one more step towards loving myself, just as I am, and slowly but surely becoming more and more unapologetically human.
And I've just been so judgmental of myself and so like hard on myself with this whole thing and just feeling like such an imposter. And it's just like, yeah, I just talked myself through it. Like, it's just love. Like, I just need to show love, give love, be authentic. Like, I was looking at all the videos of myself and I was being really mean to myself. Like, I looked really just like fat or ugly, or like my hair was thinning. I was just being a dick. I was like, your hair looks like shit. You look like shit. I don't know how to like act or look in front of a camera. And I was just like going through all of those videos and getting like emotional. Like, you don't want to be on camera. You don't want to be exposing yourself, like, or doing any of this shit. And I just fell like deep into this hole of like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and like just wanted to be home in bed at my mom's house, fucking smoking a joint, because that's what I do when I need to like shut off. And it was just like, who cares? Everybody's so fucking tired of seeing perfect fucking people on the internet anyway. That's like the entire thing. Like, I hate it. People talk about hating it all the time. Like, I'm almost shocked when I see like real faces and real people and like real anything, like fucking genuine, authentic anything. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I don't need anybody's validation. I don't like seeing fucking perfect people on the internet. It just makes me feel more imperfect and fucking frustrated and down on myself. And I'm like, so what? So I'm just gonna be authentic. I'm just gonna be myself with my crooked fucking smile and my not so perfect teeth and my fucking double chin and my eyebrows never stay where they're supposed to and my cellulite looks like shit, whatever. And I just like, I don't always know how to walk. Sometimes I look really stiff and I don't care. I don't give a fuck. That's just how I am. That's who I am. And it is what it is. Like, I love myself. And that was like the most therapeutic 2,000 fucking whatever steps. Cause I don't know. I'm gonna be doing that a lot more, is what I'm saying. I don't know if it's the left-right hemispheres connecting somehow or like what just happened, but I was like deep in that shit. And I just ate fucking way too much pizza, knowing my stomach felt like shit. Like, that was all stupid. And then I was just getting mad at myself for being stupid. And I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, I feel so much better now, my stomach and everything. And yeah, like, fucking go for a walk, man.